Shalom, shalom, and welcome to the White Rose Family Channel. My name is Symmanayah. Let's get started. This message is leaders and discipline, and I spoke on this on other occasions. But for such a time as this, my brothers and sisters, I am compelled to bring up the subject again. We read, we study, we pray, we fellowship. We all who desire to do the will of the Almighty Father seek to grow in understanding what must be done. Many desire to be leaders, sometimes prematurely. Why? Because we are sometimes unaware of the responsibilities that leadership brings. Many show displeasure when it comes to discipline. But do you know, if you want to be a leader, we should eagerly accept discipline when we are wrong. If discipline comes, we must examine. If the brother or sister is discerning that we have made a mistake or stumbled, shouldn't we want to face the discipline that is required to make us renewed? You see, discipline isn't a bad thing. It is a corrective tool. It has a function. But too many times people want to defend their egos and consume time trying to defend, well, what I meant, or I meant to say this, or deflect by saying, you can't judge me. Yashar'al, this is a time where we must realize that as the Spirit of Yahuah works in us and through us, leaders will be disciplined. Leaders will be refined. False leaders will be purged. We will find ourselves coming away from them. As we unpack this subject, leaders and discipline, let it be known there are more leaders than anticipated among us. You see, each of us will grow to appreciate discipline. Realize there will be times when we all may be required to function as a leader. You see, yes, we know the title pastor, bishop, deacon, Morris. We know the different titles. But sometimes, my brothers and sisters, sometimes we forget that by being a vessel, or some will say temple, of the Spirit of Yahuah, sometimes we forget when He who is the Almighty One works in us, through us, one towards another, when we are walking filled with the Spirit to present a matter of direction and guidance, if but for a moment, that is functioning as a leader. So when we hear people saying we all are priests, that is because the great and ultimate priest is Yahuah. And when He manifests Himself working in us, through us, one towards another, it requires us to put these earthen vessels in check and yield to what is righteous. You see, there will be brief encounters where the one in the mirror may be called upon to lead. Sometimes we are leading and don't realize it. Do you not know people watch us? People are watching you. They don't always tell you what they receive from you, but we watch one another. We will discover that what Abba Yahuah gives comes with the need to be disciplined. Disciplined. Responsible stewards. Servants, knowing what to do, when to do. Take a look at these questions for a moment, my brothers and sisters. Do you like new? Do you like clean? Clean things or people? Do you enjoy fresh? Well, I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, they come with a cost. You see, there are many things we desire in life, whether they represent a need or a want. There are many things we desire that we prefer new, fresh, but it takes work and attention to get there. It takes discipline to get there. Well, we must realize that whatever it is will require a sacrifice. To be in a place to receive one thing means you're not in a place to receive another. So therefore, choose wisely. One choice we face is deciding what are we willing to give up to receive what we desire. But let us also be mindful, my brothers and sisters, everything we desire, we will not always get. You see, sometimes, since the depths of our sight can sometimes be shallow, we will discover not everything we want is good for us. The need to know how to adjust and adapt is critical. Adapting, adjusting, especially when we come to the knowledge of knowing through Abba Yahuwah's discipline, that thing is not good for us. And sometimes it may be a leader that the Almighty Father has chosen to tell us. Sometimes it could be a brother or sister. Learn the story of Joseph, one of the younger sons, not the youngest, because Benjamin was the youngest, but one of the younger sons of Yaakov, commonly known as Jacob. If you study the full story of Joseph's life, you will know that he pursued the will of the Almighty Father Yahuwah. And this required discipline and focus. You will discover how his siblings sold him, how he was mistreated because of jealousy from his siblings. But you will discover Joseph persevered and endured. And through the discipline of the Almighty Father, he became strong. He became a leader. I only present part, but I encourage you to read the whole story of Joseph. But let me share with you just a portion of how the scriptures confirm Joseph had a time of leadership. Come with me to Genesis 41, verse 39 and 40. Genesis 41, 39 and 40. We'll start there and continue with some more. It says, Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, Since Elohim has shown you all this, there's no one as discerning and wise as you. You know, Proverbs say in the beginning, the fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of knowledge. It talks about wisdom. So do you think Joseph got wisdom on his own, or did he do something? Was he disciplined? Was he pursuing the will of the Almighty Father? And as a result of that, he grew in discernment. Here we're talking about a time when Joseph interpreted Pharaoh's dream. They say, but Pharaoh is telling him, be over my house. You, yourself, and at your mouth all my people shall kiss only. In the throne I am greater than you. So he gave Joseph power. Pharaoh gave him power. He didn't put him on the throne, but he said he was greater than him by separation of the throne. But he gave Joseph power. It goes on to say, and Pharaoh said to Joseph, 41st verse, See, I have set you over all the land of Mizraim. And Pharaoh took his seal ring off his hand and put it on Joseph's hand. And he dressed him in garments of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. And it goes on to say, 41, 43, and 44, and he had him ride in the second chariot which he had, and they cried out before him, bow the knee. And he set him over all the land of Mizraim. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and without a word from you let no man lift his hand or foot in all the land of Mizraim. Joseph. Clearly, my brothers and sisters, It is out of obedience to Abba Yahuah that Joseph found favor and rose up in leadership. Read the whole entire story of Joseph with a mind to see how it took discipline to rise to success, my brothers and sisters. I speak of discipline often. Some of you probably tired, and some of you may get discouraged and don't want to listen anymore. But this discipline is the perfecting of Yashar'al. It is a necessity for such a time as remaining. It is essential to our end time assignments, my brothers and sisters. Discipline. And in that we will find leaders rising up, directing, guiding. You may be that person or among those leaders. Where there is no vision, the people are let loose. But blessed is he who guards the Torah. This is what is written in Proverbs 29:18. And it goes on to say in 19, or it says no vision. Would a leader have a vision given by Abba Yahuah? Indeed. It goes on to say in the 19th verse, 29:19 of Proverbs, a servant is not disciplined by words. Though he understands, he does not respond. And it continues on to read, have you seen a man hasty in his words? There's more expectancy for food than for him. See, sometimes we think, my brothers and sisters, words alone brings proof and make things happen. Not so. We must look at the origin of the word, and then we will see there's a spirit behind the words we speak. Whether that spirit is a spirit of wisdom given by Abba Yahuah, or wickedness because we stumbled. Words. Some will say there's power in your words, but I will challenge you to get even beyond the words that a person sees and see what spirit is behind those words. Understand the discipline that is necessary to bring true leadership. We will learn that each of us receive duties that will be ordered by Abba Yahuah through his word, Yahusha. In these end times, my brothers and sisters, don't put all of our stock on a person because he say he's a leader or they say he's a leader. Many people prop up individuals and say that's the leader. But sometimes we give too much trust and belief in the leader without continuously leaning on the spirit of Yahuah. My brothers and sisters, allow me to show you Matthew 20, 26 and 27. Matthew chapter 20, verse 26 to 28 reads, but it shall not be so among you, but whoever wishes to become great among you, let him be your servant. So a leader, if a leader would be one that's probably great among us, but it says let him be our servant. Do you not think that it takes discipline to be the servant of another and set apartness? It says, and whoever wishes to be first among you, let him be your servant. Even as the son of Adam did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. You see, too many of us want to hold our head up and believe, I want a leader, I want to lead. We think by being outspoken. We think by use of words, the art of language, attractive narratives, that makes one a leader. Not so. When it comes to being a leader, it would be wise to know that the work may not be as we think. It is through discipline we learn what to do and what to do correctly, my brothers and sisters. Let's take a look at why is discipline needed, my brothers and sisters. You might say, oh, that's a simple answer. But do we just take the simple answer and then just ignore and take the actions that bring about discipline for leadership for granted? No. Take a look at Luke chapter 12, verse 47 and 48. Luke chapter 12, verses 47 and 48. It says, and that servant who knew his master desire and did not prepare, nor did according to his desire, shall be beat with many stripes. But he who did not know, yet did what deserved flogging, shall be beaten with few, not held as severely as the one who just blatantly disregarded. And it goes to say, and everyone who much is given, from him much shall be demanded. And to whom much has been entrusted, from him much more shall be asked. Take heed to these words, for as Abba Yahuah reveals things to us, as he gives things to us, the more we learn, the more we function in any leadership capacity, the more we will be held accountable, the more we should entreat and embrace discipline to continue to be sharp and sharpened and grow and set apartness. Consider these words in James, my brothers and sisters. James chapter 3, verses 13 and 14. James chapter 3, 13 and 14, scripture version in Esau says, who is wise and understanding among you? Let him show you by his good behavior, his works, and meekness of wisdom. But if you have bitter jealousy and self-seeking in your hearts, do not boast against and lie against the truth. There's more, my brothers and sisters. It goes on to read, this is not the wisdom coming down from above, but it is earthly, unspiritual, demonic. For where jealousy and self-seeking are, there is confusion in every foul deed. But the wisdom from above is first clean. Remember I asked the question earlier? Do you like stuff clean? Things or people clean? Notice that it talks about the wisdom from Yahuah. From above is first clean. Then the peaceful, gentle, ready to obey, filled with compassion and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. There's an order of service. There's a method. There's a sequence that is acceptable to the Almighty Father for us to function as leaders, for us to be more disciplined. It goes on to say, and the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace by those who make peace. Be mindful, my brothers and sisters, of the needs that will be identified through leaders and discipline. There are examples of warnings to leaders who are void of discipline. Let's just take a look at it. You may have heard or read them. Come examine Isaiah chapter 5, verse 21. It says, woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and clever in their own sight. I submit to you, my brothers and sisters, when we see the word woe, be careful, be cautious, be mindful. Take a look also at Jeremiah chapter 23, verses 1 and 2. We'll start there. It says, woe to the shepherds destroying and scattering the sheep of my pastures, declares Yahuah. Could that have clearly said, woe to the leaders destroying and scattering the sheep? It says, therefore, thus said Yahuah Elohim of Yashar'al against the shepherds who feed my people. You have scattered my flock, driven them away, and have not tended to them. See, I am punishing you for the evil of your deeds, declares Yahuah. There are more examples. There's more. In that same chapter, it goes on to say in the 3rd and 4th verse, therefore I shall gather the remnant of my flock out of all the lands where I have driven them, and shall bring them back to their fold, and they shall bear and increase. And I shall raise shepherds over them, and they shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be discouraged. nor shall they be lacking, declares Yahuah. Shepherds will rise among us, O Yashar'al, guided with the discipline of the Almighty Father, to execute right rulings, to present wise instructions and guidance. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, there will be a final exodus, and we will see that promises from the Almighty Father will be fulfilled. But there's a warning to the shepherd who scattered the sheep. But the Almighty Father lets us know he will deal with it. And there will be times where he will gather us away from those wicked shepherds. Be not dismayed. Be not discouraged, but be encouraged that the wisdom, the promises, the discipline from Almighty Father will come. Let us also examine Ezekiel 34, verse 2. We'll start there. Ezekiel 34:2 says, Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Yashar'al. Prophesy and say to them, Thus saith the Master Yahuah to the shepherds, Woe to the shepherds of Yashar'al who have been feeding themselves. Should not the shepherds feed the flock? Did I not read earlier how it said as a leader we should be a servant? Does this not confirm such words? It goes on to say in 3rd and 4th verse, You eat the fat and you put on the wool. You slaughter the fatlings. You do not feed the flock. You have not strengthened the weak, nor have you healed the sick, nor bound up the broken, nor brought back the straying, nor sought what was lost, but you have ruled them with might and harshness. Do you think this comes without discipline, my brothers and sisters? If you read continuously on that passage and study and know that the Almighty Father will bring discipline to those who have wronged him and his children, it would be wise to know that by ignoring warnings, we face the possibility of severe discipline. Remember, we do not control how our Yahuah execute judgment when we ignore him. Let us take heed to the function of the word woe, and let us not be where this falls on us. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, my brothers and sisters, let us embrace the things that bring about a more mature walk that demonstrates knowledge and wisdom and understanding of what is expected of us. There are times we will witness a give and receive approach needed to be of effective leaders. Consider how a leader's path begins with the ultimate sacrifice. You might say, what? Where are you going with this? To be a leader, a true set-apart leader in Yashar'al, we must know, where does that begin? How does it start? And I submit to you, it starts by fulfilling Romans 12, 1 and 2. Take heed to what it reads, my brothers and sisters. Here we see Shaul saying, I call upon you, therefore, brothers, through the compassion of the Almighty One, it says Elohim, to present your bodies a living offering. That's where it begins, presenting our bodies as a living offering, set apart, well-pleasing to the Almighty One. That's our reasonable worship. And that's where leadership begins. Do not be conformed to this world, goes on to say in the 2nd verse, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you prove what is good and well-pleasing and perfect desire of the Almighty One. Yashar'al, O Yashar'al, presenting our bodies as a living sacrifice, a living offering. It goes on to say in the 3rd verse, 12th chapter, For I say through the favor which has been given to me, to everyone who is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he should think, but to think soberly, as Elohim has given to each a measure of belief. The Almighty One, as he has given, let us think soberly. Let us not try to prop ourselves up, but speak as we are given direction from the Almighty Father. Those who find our words influencing their actions, if but for a moment or for a period of time, we will identify that Yahuah is using you to lead. But sometimes we speak too prematurely without examining. Sometimes we prop up leaders that we should not. Discipline will make a whole new path for us to recognize true set-apart leadership. Come pray on these words. Pray on these words, beginning with Ezekiel 3:16 through 18. Hear me out, my brothers and sisters. It reads, "It came to be at the end of 7 days that the word of Yahuah came to me, saying," this is Ezekiel speaking, "Son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Yashar'al, and you shall hear a word from my mouth, and shall warn them from me. When I say to the wrong, you shall certainly die, and you have not warned him, nor spoken to warn the wrong from his wrong way to save his life, that same wrong man shall die in his crookedness, and his blood I require at your hand." Here we see Abba Yahuah speaking to Ezekiel, saying, if I tell you to warn this person because of their wrong, but you ignore it, you hold back your words, and that person continues in their wrong and die in their wrong, that person's blood I hold on you. Even though that this occurs with Ezekiel, I submit to you, if we jump out there and want to be leaders, and we see things but we don't warn people, we avoid the discipline from Abba Yahuah. We hide things. We want to see them fall. I've heard people say, I just gave that person enough rope to hang themselves. And yes, that's a cliche. Sometimes we don't realize that if we allow a person to continue in wrong, they're heading down a path that could influence others, not only influence or hurt others as well as themselves. Let us come away from that thought, my brothers and sisters, and learn when we are made known of a matter, let's warn a brother, a sister. It goes on to say in the 19th and 20th verse of the 3rd chapter of Ezekiel, Ezekiel 3:19 and 20. "But if you have warned the wrong, and he does not turn from his wrong, nor from his wrong way, he shall die in his crookedness, and you have delivered your being. And when a righteous one turns from the righteousness and shall do unrighteousness, when I have put a stumbling block before him, he shall die. Because you did not warn him, he shall die in his sin. Because you did warn him, did not warn him, he shall die in his sin, and his righteousness which has done is not remembered. And his blood I require at your hand." Again, he's reiterating, if you didn't warn him and he died, blood is required on your hands. Now come with me to the 21st verse. It said, but if you have warned the righteous one, if you warned the righteous one that the righteousness should not sin, and he did not sin, he shall certainly live, because he has been warned and you have delivered your being. This is contributing to the renewing of a brother and sister when we stumble. You've heard probably the question, am I my brother's keeper? Indeed we are. For as the Spirit flows in us, through us, one towards another, we should function and shall function and will function as iron sharpens iron, as we yield to the discipline and guidance from the Almighty Father. Do not dismiss these instructions by believing you do not hold the title of prophet, or by looking at the literal. In other words, Ezekiel was a prophet. That's not talking to me. I say to you, to anyone who is used by the Spirit of Yahuah. The example we saw with Ezekiel can be applicable to us as well. So let us look beyond the literal, my brothers and sisters. Abba Yahuah does reveal things to whom he sees fit and when he desires. In other words, my brothers and sisters, we are leaders one towards another in many ways. We are servants one towards another. We will understand in whole, beyond part, the importance of how leadership serves up set apartness, how leadership is the glue to us being held together through the discipline of the Almighty Father. There are many who desire to be leaders, but ignore what's expected. I say to you, my brother, my sister, my family, soon and very soon, such thoughts will change. We will be more responsible. We will understand the duties and responsibilities of a leader, doing what is expected, delivering what is expected, saying what is expected, demonstrating what is expected in set apartness. For any who influence another leads to some degree, shape, or form. So let us let our influence be led by the ultimate leader, Abba Yahuah, through his word sent in Yahusha's name. Rise up, my brothers and sisters, prepared to witness leaders refined through Abba Yahuah's promise, discipline. There will be leaders who will rise up, shepherds who will rise up, working towards the good, discerning, growing, and learning, not trying to battle and bolster up their own ego, but those who are true leaders that will serve up what is righteous, what is set apart, what is expected. My brothers and sisters, we will discover there are actual orders, not suggestions, going forward for completing our end time assignments. What say you, O Yashar'al? Are you on that path? Are you on a path to be that leader? Are you on that path to pass the baton, if but for a moment? Your leadership was for a period of time. Do you understand why discipline should be something embraced? To make us new, to renew us, to help us to be sharper, better, more loving, more understanding, stronger one towards another. If you listen to this from beginning to end, my brothers and sisters, do not take the word leaders nor discipline for granted. Have discussions about leaders. Have discussion about discipline. See how one thinks on those matters. See how possibly we can clean up our perception when it comes to leaders and discipline. See if one bring up the word servant. To be a leader is to be a servant. See if one bring up the word welcome when it comes to discipline. If not, let us begin to understand how these things are important for the coming together of a set-apart nation. Yashar'al, the time is now to pray. Seek to discern and respond to what is being uncovered before your very eyes. Know when to speak, when not to speak, what to do, when to do it, when to be still. There are visions that have been written. There are visions going forward. There are prophecies going forward. In some cases, we see more wicked people saying it's prophecy, but let us not become void of identifying those whom the Almighty Father is revealing things to for the betterment of Yashar'al, for the betterment of our worship to him. If I said anything to encourage you or stir your spirit closer towards the Almighty Father, I say hallelujah. All praise and esteem to him. I thank you for your patience. And I say consider subscribing, share, and like. Help me, O Yashar'al, to do what I am charged to do. And I believe if it indeed the Almighty Father directed my footsteps, he will grant me with the tools, as well as you, as well as others. He will equip us with what is necessary. If your heart so desire to support the duties that I am charged to do, consider supporting White Rose Family Channel. It's my Cash App. And if you want to support in other ways or means, reach out at Symmanayah@gmail.com. Symmanayah@gmail.com. And I can tell you other ways that we can come together and help one another. And I can tell you other ways in which you can give if you want to financially support the duties I am charged with. On that note, I thank you, my brother, my sister, for your patience. May the Almighty Father Yahuah grant you favor and good health and wisdom and growing in set apartness. I end by saying, take care and shalom.